fringes of Western Europe, the Netherlands is a coastal lowland freckled with windmills characteristic of its development around the water. Three major European rivers, the Rhine, Meuse and Schelde, run through neighbors Germany and Belgium into the nation's busy ports. The Kingdom of the Netherlands emerged in 1815 after years of Spanish and later French occupation. In 2010, a collection of island territories in the Caribbean known as the Dutch Antilles were disbanded, but Aruba, Curaçao, and Sint Maarten remain constituent countries within the kingdom. Number 9. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, commonly known as the United Kingdom or Britain, is a country in northwestern Europe, off the coast of the continental mainland. It comprises England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. The UK includes the island of Great Britain, the northeastern part of the island of Ireland, and most of the smaller islands within the British Isles. Northern Ireland shares a land border with the Republic of Ireland. Otherwise, the United Kingdom is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, the North Sea, the English Channel, the Celtic Sea, and the Irish Sea. Number 8. New Zealand. British and Polynesian influences course through picturesque New Zealand, an island nation in the Pacific Ocean, southeast of Australia. Early Maori settlers ceded sovereignty to British invaders with the Treaty of Waitangi in 1840, and European settlers flooded in. Today, 70% of Kiwis, a common term for the people of New Zealand after a native flightless bird, are of European descent. A sense of pride has surged among the Maori, the country's first settlers who now account for about 14%, as homeland grievances become more openly addressed. Though the British monarch remains head of state, New Zealand has operated under an independent parliamentary democracy led by a prime minister since its independence in 1907. In 2017. Number 7. Germany, the most populous nation in the European Union, possesses one of the largest economies in the world and has seen its role in the international community grow steadily since reunification. The Central European country borders 9 nations, and its landscape varies, from the northern plains that reach to the North and Baltic Seas to the Bavarian Alps in the south. Germanic-speaking tribes in northern Europe date to antiquity, but the modern German state took shape in the 19th century. Defeats in the 2 world wars of the 20th century left the country divided, and reunification occurred in 1990 following the collapse of the East German Communist state. Number 6. Japan, one of the world's most literate and technically advanced nations, is an East Asian archipelago country made up of 4 primary islands and more than 6,800 others. While most of Japan is covered by mountains and heavily wooded areas, the country's people lead a distinctly urban lifestyle. Long culturally influenced by its neighbors, today the country blends its ancient traditions with aspects of Western life. The country can trace its political unification to the late 4th and early 5th centuries BC. Civilization flourished in the late 8th to the late 12th centuries, followed by even more centuries of military rule. The country was isolated from the early 1600s to the mid-19th century, at which point its ports opened up to the west. Japan had grand territorial ambitions in the 1900s, invading several countries, only to be defeated in World War II. Number 5. The United States of America is a North American nation that is the world's most dominant economic and military power. Likewise, its cultural imprint spans the world, led in large part by its popular culture expressed in music, movies, and television. The American colonies declared independence from the British Empire in 1776 and were recognized as a new nation in 1783. The country nearly split in two during a civil war in the mid-1800s, but regained its footing in the 20th century, during which time it was on the winning side of both world wars. The U.S. is a constitution-based federal republic composed of 50 states. The U.S. economy is the world's largest in terms of gross domestic product, and also the most technologically powerful. The country's significant exports include computers and electrical machinery, vehicles, chemical products, food, live animals, and military equipment. Number 4. Australia. The Commonwealth of Australia occupies the Australian continent. The country also includes some islands, most notably Tasmania. Indigenous people occupied the land for at least 40,000 years before the first British settlements of the 18th century. Australia has a parliamentary democracy government similar to the United Kingdom. While it separates its federal government into three arms, Parliament, executive and judiciary. The executive answers to the parliament. In 1986, the nation ended all constitutional ties to the United Kingdom, although Queen Elizabeth II remains the ceremonial head of state. Number 3. Sweden. The Kingdom of Sweden, flanked by Norway to the west and the Baltic Sea to the east, expands across much of the Scandinavian peninsula and is one of the largest countries in the European Union by land mass. Capital city Stockholm was founded in the 13th century, and border disputes through the Middle Ages established the modern-day nation. Despite its militaristic roots, Sweden has remained neutral in times of war for centuries. Instead, commitment to human rights, public service, and sustainability have helped to make it a respected leader in international affairs. Number 2. Canada. Canada takes up about 2/5 of the North American continent, making it the second largest country in the world after Russia. The country is sparsely populated, with most of its residents living within 125 miles of its border with the United States. Canada's expansive wilderness to the north plays a large role in Canadian identity, as does the country's reputation of welcoming immigrants. Although the Norse briefly settled in Canada during the 10th century, European exploration accelerated in the 1500s. France and Britain angled for control over the region, with the British cementing their dominance in the year 1763. The country was a collection of British colonies until it became a self-governing dominion in 1867. Number 1. Switzerland, officially called the Swiss Confederation, is a small country in Central Europe made up of 16,000 square miles of glacier-carved Alps, lakes, and valleys. It is one of the world's wealthiest countries, and has been well known for centuries for its neutrality. The Swiss Confederation was initially founded in 1291 as a defensive alliance among cantons. In 1499, the Confederation became independent from the Holy Roman Empire. In 1848, a new constitution turned the Confederation into a centralized federal government, ending a period of conflict. Since then, the country has enjoyed relative tranquility. Switzerland has low unemployment, a skilled labor force and one of the highest gross domestic products per capita in the world, according to the CIA World Factbook. The country's strong economy is powered by low corporate tax rates, a highly developed service sector led by financial services and a high-tech manufacturing industry.